welcome to Fish on Fridays. I'm McCauley, and today I want to talk to you about a great feast in the church that happens every year on February 2nd, and it's the celebration of the presentation of Christ in the temple. And for years, for centuries in fact, February 2nd was the end of the Christmas season. Nowadays, most people think Christmas season ends on Christmas, or maybe if you go a little bit further to Epiphany on January 6th. Technically now Christmas season extends to the baptism of Christ, liturgically speaking. But back centuries ago, it used to be Christmas season all the way to February 2nd when Christ was presented in the temple. And this story comes to us from chapter 2 of Luke's gospel, specifically verses 22 to 35. And I want to talk about this feast through the lens of a great piece of art by Mantegna. And it comes to us from about the middle of the 15th century. And it's just a simple image. It's almost like a snapshot of Jesus being presented after his presentation, actually, Mary talking to the prophet Simeon. It's called the presentation of Christ in the temple, and it's a great piece of art, although nobody in this painting looks happy about the event. And I think what Mantegna is trying to do is trying to give us a snapshot of the moment right after Simeon, the prophet Simeon, sees Mary and says, "This is the one I've been waiting for. I was told that I would be able to, the Spirit has told me that I would be able to live until I would cast my eyes on the Messiah. And now that I've seen the baby Messiah," he's saying, basically, my job here is done, I can go. But he talks about how this baby is going to be great. And then he looks at Mary and he says, "In you, your heart shall be pierced as if by a sword." So he's talking about or prophesying about the suffering that Mary, as the mother of Jesus, is going to feel by virtue of being a witness to his crucifixion. And so that's what you capture in this painting. You capture that very moment when he is just given this warning, if you will. And it's a very private shot. It's almost like you're looking at a window. If you look at the way it's framed, the piece of art is framed, it's almost like you're looking through into someone's house. Like you and I are, as viewers, are kind of voyeuristic here. We're kind of looking in on this kind of somewhat of a personal moment. And you see, the odd bystander in the background that are somewhat disinterested, and that's basically they're not part of the story. That's just to fill in the gaps. But the principles you see are Mary holding Jesus, you see Simeon, and then you see in between them, you see Joseph. And Joseph, by the way, looks really stern. It's almost as if he was hearing these words and he doesn't like it too well. And he's been the protector of Mary and of Jesus. And you're telling me that she's going to be harmed somehow. And so Joseph looks like he's kind of stern, like, ain't going to happen on my watch. Which is, take that for what you will. But I think it's interesting, too, the way Mantegna positions Mary. She's hearing this news, and you can see her in this window. The only thing that's kind of like coming out toward the viewer is her elbow. And it's on the ledge. It rests on the ledge of this window kind of a contraption. And it's almost as if she has to steady herself because of this news that Simeon gives to her, that she has to brace herself at the sound of this prophecy. So there's a lot going on here. And of course, Jesus is a baby, so he's somewhat benign to this, but he's wrapped in swaddling clothes in this image. So we understand that he is, a young child, still an infant. But there's a lot going on here, especially when you take in the whole context of the presentation as the one end of the whole Christmas story. So at the beginning, you have the annunciation of the angel Gabriel to Mary that she's going to give birth to the Son of God. And now you've got the annunciation of Simeon the prophet to Mary saying she is going to suffer. And so you've got these two bookend annunciations that are happening to Mary. One that really predicts or prophesies about the glory of God, of Jesus, and her part in this. But then the other one that's really kind of sorrowful from an old man. And so you've got these two annunciations that bookmark the whole Christmas story. And I think it's important for us to remember that those two annunciations, I think, are connected. Our life is not meant to be necessarily easy because of the world in which we live. But God announces to us glory and, unfortunately, that things are going to happen, even to his own son, Jesus. He's going to die on a cross. But the important thing is to remember that through the Christmas season, and in fact, throughout the whole year, we're told that Christ is Emmanuel, which means God with us, that we don't walk alone, that we are not alone in our suffering. We're not alone in these in these annunciations when bad things are told to us. We go to a doctor for a visit and it's an annunciation of a bad diagnosis, or we get the annunciation about a child who is maybe taking a wrong path in life. I mean, there are millions different types of annunciations that come our way, both good and bad. And it's important to remember that the Holy Family walks with us, that Jesus is part of this, and Mary knows that too. So to remember that God is present to us, God with us, Emmanuel, regardless of what type of annunciation you face, whether it's be good or tougher to deal with. So there you go. Again, a piece of beautiful art to think about, to contemplate, and hopefully take to prayer. Hope this has been helpful. If you want to share this content, that would be great. We would love it if you would subscribe to our YouTube channel or follow us on Facebook. But either way, we hope you keep tuning in every Friday for Fish on Fridays. And before I sign off, I want to say that this is a very special issue because Emily Shimoleski, the producer, and I have been working on Fish on Fridays for over 4 years. And this particular episode marks the 250th consecutive Friday that we have given you one of these episodes. It's ridiculous to think about that, but 250 episodes of Fish on Fridays, and here we are. So anyway, until next time, if you've watched all 250, God bless you. But until next time, please be good to each other, and God bless.